the FIBA Women's Eurobasket tournament, which tipped off yesterday with 4 games. And so I want to recap those games real quick. What you all should know is that Eurobasket is the thing that we've been talking about for weeks now. For weeks, we've been talking about European players leaving their teams and going over to Europe to play in a tournament. That's what Eurobasket is, okay? There's a lot of WNBA players that are in Eurobasket, players who are like actually European, like by birth, and then players who ended up becoming citizens of a certain country to play for that country. So, for example, Tierra McCowan, right? She's American, but we'll talk about her in a sec because she's one of those Americans who has become citizens of another country so that they can play in Eurobasket and also play in the Olympics and play in a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyway, that's what we're talking about to start. Okay, we're gonna get to USA basketball in just a bit. I did just want to update you all on what in the world is going on in Eurobasket. So, kicked off again, as I said earlier yesterday. And first up, we want to talk about Lithuania, because Lithuania is back in the tournament for the first time since 2015. And they made their first game count, guys. They held off Slovenia with a final score of 77, Lithuania, 71, Slovenia, behind a very strong, I would say, defensive effort by the Lithuanian side. This team was led by youngster, I believe she's 18, and the number 5th pick in the WNBA draft. She is going to be with the Golden State Valkyries, but just not yet. Yosita, she had 17 points, 6 assists, and she had a lot of poise for such a young player. Remember, guys, she is going to be on the Golden State Valkyries come sometime in the future. She was the number 5 pick in the 2025 draft, and she is rocking and rolling right now for Lithuania. All right, and also yes, Slovenia did lose, but I did just want to mention Slovenia real quick because they also have somebody who you all may be familiar with, Jessica Shepard. Y'all remember that name? Slovenia did not go quietly in this game. We saw Jessica Shepard be basically a one-woman wrecking crew in this one. She had 25 points, 17 rebounds for Slovenia, but it really wasn't enough. It really wasn't enough at all. And Slovenia gets their first W in a long time. All right, and also, guys, if y'all don't know Jessica Shepard, the reason why I mentioned her is because she is with the Minnesota Lynx. I'm going to try my best to mention names that you all may be familiar with, okay? All right, let's continue on. We also saw other games as well yesterday, including Italy, who ended up crushing Slovenia initially until Serbia. I'm sorry. We saw Italy beat Serbia. They were beating them pretty badly until Serbia was like, actually, not so fast. Serbia came back late in this game on a 14-2 run, and ultimately Italy was able to come back and step up and ultimately get the job done. For the Italian team, we saw the Golden State Valkyries player Cecilia Zandalicini drop a monster of a stat line. She had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and Italy come out with the dub, 70 Italy, 61 Serbia. All right. And next up, let's talk about a team that I feel like most Americans are very familiar with, but some of the players we're most familiar with are not even playing for Team France. Let's talk about Team France. Taking care of business against Turkey. However, this was a game that, like, I was actually worried that Turkey was about to win. Because remember, France is missing a lot of their best players. A lot of their best players decided, actually, we're going to stay in America and stay in the WNBA. And it wasn't until the second half that we saw France kind of get it together and ultimately get the W, because Turkey looked like they were about to take it. But France held off, ultimately getting the win. They were led by, surprise, the Golden State Valkyries, Janelle Salon, who had 22 points in the game yesterday. And if y'all are wondering, how in the world did Turkey get so close? Well, they had a dominant post player who was hard to stop. Okay, for Turkey, we saw the Dallas Wings center Tierra McCowan dominate in this one. She had 25 points and 15 rebounds for Turkey. And yeah, sometimes it bees like that. Sometimes it bees like that where we see players who are not that great in the WNBA go over to Europe and look like they like Shaq or something. They look totally dominant. It happens. It happens sometimes. And you know, if Tierra McCowan had 25 and 15 for the Dallas Wings, ooh, I tell you, the Dallas Wings will be a very different team. But not quite. All right, let's continue on. Let's talk about some more teams or the other game that happened. There were 4 games that happened yesterday. And the 4th game involved Greece. Greece ended up cruising past Switzerland. This was probably the easiest game of day 1. They were in kind of cruise control in this one. Smooth performance from start to finish against Switzerland, who just couldn't keep up with the Greek scoring. Greece 87, Switzerland 65. We saw Greece led by 2 players, Mirella Fasola and formerly of the Connecticut Sun, Robin Parks, who you see pictured here. Robin Parks was on the Connecticut Sun, but she was ultimately not temporarily suspended. She was actually waived by the team. And so, yeah, anyway, that is your day 1 of games. We saw some really good individual performances. That led to certain teams getting the dub. And today we have a whole lot more games ahead of us when it comes to Eurobasket. And so we'll see what today brings. But yeah, I'm very curious to hear if anybody actually watched the games on yesterday. But yeah, a couple of games to note today. We have Switzerland versus Turkey, Great Britain versus Spain, which is a game that I'm going to be watching out for. We got Lithuania versus Serbia. We have Czechia versus Montenegro. We have France versus Greece. We got Germany versus Sweden. We got Belgium versus Portugal. And then finally, we have Italy versus Slovenia. These are the games that are happening later today. And again, as I've tried to mention throughout this, there are some really good WNBA players that are playing in Eurobasket. And when it comes to the top players every single night, they will tend to be WNBA players, either current or former WNBA players. But I keep a huge eye on Team Belgium. Vic says, where can we watch the U.S. games? Well, the United States is not participating in Eurobasket because Eurobasket is just for European teams. But let's actually use this as a very nice segue to talk about Team USA.